breathing through a straw. Despite those obstacles, something about this crazy vision captured me. It's easy to dismiss the visions that pop into our minds, especially when they don't seem to fit with the rest of our lives. I dreamed of becoming a Major League Baseball player, not a runner. And it was just a sudden desire I had. I want to run around Big Bear Lake. I hadn't heard an audible voice from God. I hadn't read anything etched in stone. I hadn't received a prophetic word, but I felt a strong pull in my heart, a passion to do something I'd never before imagined, and so it seemed important to act on my vision. It's crazy how sometimes our smallest decisions turn out to have the most significant consequences. We spend hours and hours writing lists of pros and cons and seeking advice from friends, family members, and colleagues about the big decisions: where to go to college, whether to get married or have kids, which job offer to accept. But we rarely deliberate the small decisions. We tell ourselves that those little things don't matter when actually they can be extremely important. I'm not saying that the big decisions shouldn't be carefully considered, but I've learned that we also shouldn't dismiss the small ones, because these decisions can subtly change the trajectory of our lives. If I hadn't acted on my God-given vision to run around the lake, I never would have had the opportunity to run at Stanford, meet my wife, compete on 2 Olympic teams, travel around the globe, and live out all the amazing experiences I've had as a result of running. And all of this came from a God-inspired seedling of a thought, one that I could have easily dismissed. I am so grateful I didn't. After that road trip with the basketball team, I shared my vision with my dad. I'm surprised he didn't dismiss it right away as being crazy and not a good idea. Now that I'm a dad, I'm not sure I would have reacted the way that he did. I would have been more likely to tell any of my 4 daughters that she should start with a smaller, more attainable goal. But that's not how my dad responded. He simply told me that if I wanted to run the 15 miles around the lake, he would run it with me. The more I look back on this, the more amazing his response seems. I tend to find myself wanting to give my kids advice and guidance, and there's certainly a place for that in parenting, but sometimes I need to take the dad hat off and partner with my kids' deepest desires. I need to say, if that's what you want to do, let's do it together. I've learned a lot about God as I've increasingly viewed him as the ultimate father. Jesus describes God that way when he talks about how on earth, evil fathers know how to give good gifts to their kids. Therefore, how much more does God, who is in heaven, know how to give good gifts to his kids? Matthew 7:11. As I think about how I want to grow as a father, I realize that I am interested in what my kids are into, and I do everything I can to support and help them in their dreams and journeys. How much more must God be interested in the desires of our hearts and in our dreams, especially if he is the one who put those dreams there to begin with? I really believe that God is intensely interested in our hearts and all the desires and dreams that reside in him as he leads us to chase after them. The following Saturday morning, without any preparation, I laced up my high-top basketball shoes. Hours later, my bulging blisters showed me that basketball shoes are a little different from running shoes, and headed out the door with my dad for what turned out to be a very long and painful run around Big Bear Lake. Before beginning our journey, my dad and I completed some light stretching on our front porch. Then Dad had me pump my hand into a fist and then flat as fast as I could for 1 minute to show me how strong my heart had to be to pump blood throughout my body my entire life. If you want to try it, be ready for some serious cramping and pain by the end of the minute. He had me do this to show me that running was a way for me to make my heart stronger. We then began the run with a walk, which became my custom throughout my running career, of about 100 meters as a way to warm the body up before beginning a slow jog. As a non-runner, I understood that I was in for a major physical challenge, but I was not mentally prepared for it. I made it about 6 miles before we had to stop as we reached the dam and took a little time to watch some fishermen bait fish in the deep blue waters. I've never enjoyed watching fishing so much in my entire life. I relished every second, hoping to postpone my run as long as possible. Starting back up after that brief break, my quads felt like jello, and I wasn't even halfway there yet. I questioned whether I could make it the last 9 miles. Luckily, I had already navigated the hilliest section of the paved, well-traveled road looping the lake. That was the only factor in my favor at that point. 3 miles later, we stopped at a liquor store to grab a cold Sobe to replenish my depleted body of hydration, sugar, and electrolytes. The icy, sugary, orange carrot drink tasted divine in my fatigued and dehydrated state. Once again, it was challenging to start running again after taking a break. Yet somehow I found a way to keep putting one foot in front of the other, in large part because of my dad's support. An avid runner who could knock off 15 miles in half the time it was going to take the two of us, he never let on whether he was impatient or bored. My dad just